Jay, well, just how have these first couple of days been getting everybody back together on a familiar basis out there too?
Yeah, it's been fun. It's been a lot of competition. I think everybody was super excited to get back. I know I was. Like I said, I'm losing my voice a little just with how much yelling I've been doing out there. But the competition's been super high level. It's been fun being out there with the guys, getting back in the locker room, talking about what we did in the summer, things like that. But yeah, it's been super fun.
After last season and going into this off season and shorten off season a little bit, just what did you prioritize for yourself wanting to come into this season with?
Yeah, one of our main focuses, of course, was losing some weight, trying to get healthier. Knock on wood, but I've been feeling really good out there. I've been feeling better just walking around on a day-to-day basis, being lighter. And of course, just strengthening my strengths. Trying to get better at shooting, trying to get better shooting quicker, doing things like that, being stronger down low, those type of things.
Yesterday, Houston said one of the biggest things that stood out in day one was your ability to be vocal. Why is that so important to you? What does that achieve for you and for the team?
Yeah, I always try to be vocal, but yesterday we were getting killed. So I was just trying to turn our team up a little bit, yelling at guys to pick guys up full court, yelling at guys, talking crap, trying to turn the team up. But I'm always trying to be the vocal guy for the team. I have fun out there. I have fun, and it's just fun to chirp back and forth with guys. I always try to talk crap to AC and just different guys.
What's it been like playing with Nikola Topic? Everybody was pretty complimentary of him yesterday.
Yeah, it's been great. Of course, I played with him some throughout the season, just high, but it's been great. You can see he really just reads the game. He great passer, great facilitator out there.
It looks like you're gonna be the last guy ever to wear number 6 in the NBA. What do you just head up to get at?
Yeah, I mean, I'm honored. I know the number 6 was retired for the great Bill Russell, and I'm honored to be able to wear the number. And honestly, when I picked it, like like my dad was the one that picked the number, so there was no thought going into it. But I'm super honored to wear the number 6, and especially be able to honor him.
How much is the continuity of this team showing up just in the first couple of days here of training?
It showed up a lot. I think guys just are enjoying being together. Like we all go get in the coat, like AC's yelling out, "Who's getting in the coat tub?" And we're all getting in the coat tub, and we're just all sitting in the locker room. I think yesterday after the first practice, there's a bunch of us just sitting in the locker room. We're like, guys, or somebody walked in and was like, guys, it's day one. We got to come back later. Like, go home. And we're just chilling in the locker room. Like, we're just excited to be together, and I think it just shows like our team. Our team is so well bonded and connected. It's like we just enjoy being around each other.
Jay, well, following up on that, there's cohesion with the roster, but also the coaching staff, not only Mark, but the assistants as well. What's that meant to you to have basically the same staff throughout your whole career?
Yeah, it's been incredible. One of the best parts about being a basketball player is having a good coaching staff and a coaching staff that trusts and believe in you. And I think for me personally, this is the best coaching staff I've been a part of, with just being close to the coaches, being able to joke with the coaches. Me and Mark will chirp back and forth during practice, and then I'll look at him and he's doing the little smirk that he does. And it's just fun just having a coach and a coaching staff that you're able to be cool with. And it helps us. Is we know what they expect. They know what to expect out of us, and I think all around it just helps the team be better.
What assistant do you most often work out with?
Grant G's been my assistant coach since day one, since I got here. Yeah.
Things.
You talked about being a good communicator. You've given some like pregame speeches. What did you get a chance to talk to you after the parade with Wiggs? What did you think of that?
Wiggs is great on the mic. I actually, a lot of people don't know this, and I'm not trying to take credit, but we were talking about what we were going to say. I was supposed to talk right after him when he did the speech. And Ferris, I don't know if you remember this or not. I was supposed to talk right after him. And before we left from here, I was like, "What you going to say?" He was like, "I don't know. I'm writing some stuff down." He was like, "What you going to say?" And I said a couple things. And then he goes up there and says the couple things that I was going to say. And I'm like, "Ferris, do not make me go after him." And Wiggs is great. Wiggs is great on the mic. He's always like that. And honestly, for me, I was just having fun. And if you look at the video from when I did my little thing, I was not trying to get on the mic, and it kind of just, it just happened.
Did you share what the points were that maybe you ghost ripped for him?
I don't remember. I don't remember at all, but I know he took a couple of my points. But I'm not trying to take any credit for his speech, because I definitely wouldn't have been as good as that.
Did you notice anything different, like as player-wise, like stronger or improvement, anything?
I think everybody's gotten better. I feel like I can pick apart everybody's game and say that everybody's gotten better in a certain area. Um, I feel like everybody's doing really good. Everybody's communicating well. Everybody's playing great defense. the competition is like super high right now. Like guys are out there trying to compete, and I think that's the thing that's standing out to me the most is that everybody's trying to win, everybody's barking at each other and things like that.
You mentioned, feeling pretty good, losing some weight, you're in some muscle. What areas do you feel like that's shown up so far in your game?
With me being able to shoot the ball at a decent clip, guys are like running me off the line a lot more, and I feel like more confident being able to drive off or play off the catch, play off the dribble. And on defense, I feel a lot quicker. I feel like I'm jumping higher, doing things like that.
Thanks, Jay Will.
Cool. Appreciate y'all.
Today we were just talking to Jay Will just about the continuity of this team and how it's showing up so far in training camp. What have been your perspective with that?
I mean, everything's been great. I mean, guys are playing hard. We're such a together team that we kind of know where we want to go, and we've laid kind of the foundation last year, and all we're trying to do is like get better and carry over. So we're seeing good strides just in our first 2 days. People are picking up plays quickly, any new schemes that we have, and all that. And so we're excited to be back.
For you personally, obviously, you got some years under your belt now. How did you prioritize this season and the things that you wanted to work on to maximize?
Yeah, so obviously shorter summer than usual, but I think through everything that we do throughout the summer, we make sure to stay on top of our stuff, whether that's taking care of your body, getting the proper amount of workouts in, because we did know that it was going to be a quicker turnaround, but we're still professionals at the end of the day. And so just being a pro in that aspect, make sure you're getting the proper amount of nutrition, rest, workouts, because although we want to enjoy, what we did, we want to enjoy our summer. We understand that we got to be ready for when we come back.
Is it in addition to the continuity with the team and roster and everything, does it help you as a player to have the same coaching staff year after year?
Yeah, especially when there's such a good coaching staff. I think they do their best to make the game as easy for us as players. So when we go out there, we're not really thinking as much. They have a really good system that they got going on with the way that they structure their practices, the way we do film, the way they lay out our off time and all that. They know what they're doing, and we're fortunate enough to have the same group of guys plus the same coaches going into this season. I think that just gives us kind of a leg up.
I think last year you and Mark both talked about the differences of the shots you were getting, especially playing off of party side. How has that chemistry grown and kind of improved it heading into this training camp?
Yeah, I think last year we kind of got a heavy dose of that, and so now it's second nature. Not only with Isaiah Hartenstein, Chet even does it, Jay Will does it at a really good job. So we're just trying to build, find new ways to find more shots, find new ways to, get slips in the defense and just, create for others in that aspect. So it's been good.
At this point in your career, are you even working or tinkering with your shot anymore, or is it just by getting reps and getting shots up? I don't know if you're one of the guys who still works stiff or anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a forever process. Obviously, there's a lot of muscle memory that goes into it, but if you're not focused, there's some things that can slip along the way. So, I mean, I still shoot with a purpose. I don't just go up there and just get reps up or, just go through the motions. It's a lot that goes into it, and it can easily go in the wrong direction if you're not paying attention to it. So I'm a high detail guy.
No one else for Zay? Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Yeah.
4 days of practice here from a luxury in an NBA season. How do you kind of prioritize things? How do you maximize this time best for you guys?
Same stuff that we talk about, fundamentals, trying to, form an identity for this year's team. Just get all the stuff in that you need to play a game. We went up and down again today and, have a lot of our base, in, and now it's a matter of just honing those details, which is a continuous process, as we go through the season. But the same stuff that is relevant every single night is what we work on in practices.
We were just talking to Jay Will, and he was talking about how this offseason he focused on losing some weight, adding some muscle, said he feels really good out there. Just what you've seen from him and just seeing that work show up so far in training camp?
Yeah, I mean, we've got obviously a good team of talented players, so guys can get kind of lost in that developmentally, but he's a player that has developed very steadily over his time here. His pick and roll defense, his first year, the growth he made there from year 1 to year 2, he became way more efficient as a pick and roll screener last season. Increased his offensive rebounding last season and the amount that he went to the offensive glass. And then he had obviously a physical transformation this summer. So he's a guy that's made a habit of improving, through his experiences on the court and also in the off seasons. And he's a really good player, obviously, but he's worked himself into that. He deserves a lot of credit for it.
Mark, one of the big messages of Media Day was about nothing from last season carries over. This is a clean slate and all that. As you work to articulate that message to the players over the course of the season, which is it's something they don't necessarily have experience to draw upon yourself. But where do you lean on? Are there any past examples that you can cite or other people in different sports who've gone through things that you talk to try to learn how to, address the guys on a day-to-day basis about something like that?
We're always trying to learn from everything, so we're definitely eyes and ears are open at all times, not just this off season. So we're drawing from different sources and mining for that. But it's also, we kind of have a way of operating that we've had in the water since this team's been together. And so these guys have heard the same things over and over again. And we tried to find things that were principles that could be applied to any circumstance and that kind of transcended circumstance. And now it's about recognizing, a different circumstance, obviously, for us, but the principles we're going to apply to that, the fundamentals we're going to apply to that are going to be the same, and the challenge becomes applying those things as consistently as we have in the past to a new circumstance.
Is there any particular source that you've drawn upon that's been meaningful to you?
Yes. No.
I know it's early, but how have you seen Topic sort of play off of guys like Shea and Dub?
I mean, it's not in a vacuum. I think we're trying to get a lot of different guys out there together in different combinations, as we always try to do in practices, in training camp. It gives them, different developmental experiences. It even gives, a guy like Shea different developmental experiences, having to play as a primary on-ball handler with another handler, that sort of thing. We do that with the bigs as well. We do that with the wings as well. We're trying to just change things up and see how they grow in those situations and how it looks from our standpoint. And it really just tests the flexibility of your system. You want a system that can adapt to any lineup and any circumstance and anything an opponent does. And we don't waste any time in stress testing that.
You open camp like with a kind of a chart, like a needle, a gauge about a competitive level, physicality, things like that, of how I want to ramp them up? Or do you just put them on the floor and say, you guys are going to determine a whole bunch of how this goes?
The latter, and fortunately with this team, there's certain things that, we have the privilege of taking for granted from a coaching standpoint. And one of them is competitiveness. Like if you put the scoreboard on and you put two teams in two different uniforms, they're going to compete. And they've made a habit of that in every practice, anytime we've ever done that. And so it's not something that we really have to coach, and that's a luxury. And it's how we've been able to pace the team, on the curriculum that we've been able to pace them. We've been able to do some advanced stuff with this team. And the reason is because there's certain things that we don't have to spend time coaching, and competitiveness is one of them. Togetherness is another. Hard playing, consistent hard playing is another. And we don't take that for granted. It's a great team to coach.
I kind of phrased that wrong. I wanted to ask you, starting from this end, to actually hold them down to a competitive level of let's not do too much too fast. So I was kind of coming at it from that side.
Yeah, that's more like duration of the practice, and just making sure that, we're loading the team in a way that paces us to be ready for the preseason games and be ready for the regular season. But, in terms of the actual intensity and physicality, they determine that. What we determine is how, is it going to be a 15-minute segment or an 8-minute segment?
Gotcha.
Are we going to go an hour and a half, or are we going to go 2 hours? And, we just try to make sure that we keep that in a manageable spot, but also, push the team forward as we ramp up here.
Mark, in addition to the cohesion, stability of the team, the roster, how valuable has it been to have this head coaching staff, throughout this run?
Yeah, I mean, it's super valuable. This coaching staff has got great integrity to it because of just the amount of experiences together and in the organization. I mean, most of the staff has spent time with the Blue. Mike Wilkes has been a scout in the organization, so he's worked in the front office. Dave Bliss started his career here in the video room, and just about everybody else has kind of come up through the pipeline. And the combination of that continuity and the continuity of the players makes the practices run very, very smoothly. There's a common terminology. The staff is able to challenge one another in a way that, if you're trying to learn a new relationship, you wouldn't be as direct as we can be with one another. There's kind of a shorthand level of communication going on. I think we have great diversity on the staff in terms of perspectives and experiences and strengths. And it's a low ego, hardworking, cohesive staff that I'm incredibly grateful for. We have a lot of deep staff of talented people.
With Cam coming back up from the Blue, is it just as simple as adding one more full-time assistant? Does anything change kind of on that front?
Yeah, I mean, it's that simple. I think he's a great example of, our effort to pipeline, our own people and groom our own people. He was a Blue player. He was a Blue assistant. I think my last year with the Blue as a head coach. He was a Blue assistant Grant's first year as a head coach there. Now, obviously, Grant's back too. Then he came here to be an assistant coach my first year. We sent him to the Blue to be the head coach, and now, we're returning him back here in the same position he left, but a completely different coach. I mean, somebody that's coached 150 games as a head coach, led a staff, led a team, had all those experiences. I mean, we're getting back a way more fully formed coach than the one that left. And now we're trying to replicate that with Daigneault, and we replicate that with the Blue assistants with, using our video room. We're constantly trying to develop, all our people, organization wide, but certainly in our coaching staff, because ultimately that has a better impact on the players. When Cam's working with, BC, he's a better coach. He's a better contributor to BC's journey as a result of those experiences.
Is there a balancing act between stress testing and exploring right now versus sharpening your identity, or are they one and the same?
They're one and the same. It's a lot of the stress testing is different lineups on the court, different combinations of players. That's what you're really exploring, and the way that you can apply the fundamentals and the schemes to different things that you're going to see. For example, like in a playoff series, if Indiana's going to pick us up full court, it's like what exists in the system that we can use to try to exploit that. If there's gaps there, maybe we need to add some things, and that's that process. But generally, I think people would be very surprised at just how basic and fundamental, our practices are. We're not trying to reinvent anything. We're trying to get really good at the things that are most relevant in the game.
Anybody else for Coach?
All right, thank you.